Hi guys, and welcome to my newly started YouTube channel. My name is Natalie, and today I decided to film, and I'm gonna start this little series called Travel Tuesdays, just because I come across a lot of travel videos on YouTube, and as cool as they are now, as awesome as they are, I feel like they're all done by people who have already successfully started a blog or successfully put their name out on a social media outlet. At the same time, I feel like it's really nice to kind of hear tips from people who are just average day Joes trying to travel the world and what they have to offer to the internet. I'm just going to talk about my favorite places to travel, stories about traveling, how I started traveling, how to travel for those of you who are interested, my favorite travel hacks, and things like that. So Travel Tuesdays, let's get started. Today I am actually going to talk about my very first traveling experience and how I got started in traveling. I had always wanted to travel ever since I was a tiny little tyke and I saw the Lizzie McGuire movie and I saw her in Rome, which I haven't been to yet, but I'm going to in November, so stay tuned for that. And then when I got into high school, I started taking French class, which really kind of created my infatuation with my favorite place in the world, still my favorite place to this day, Paris. I absolutely love Paris. I've been there once. I am going to go there again in November, and I am so excited because it is seriously my favorite place in the world. And sometimes I feel like that's how traveling starts for a lot of people, is they find one place that they just want to go to so bad and they love, and you just have to go there. Trust me, when you go there, you're not going to regret it. It's just going to be so amazing and you're going to feel so accomplished. This video is not about that. We can dedicate another video to your loving of places. This video is going to be about my first travel experience through a company that many people know of and many people have heard of. This company is called EF College Break, Education First College Break. I believe that's what EF stands for. Basically, I had two friends that I had worked with, and they had both gone on a tour through EF College Break. They told me nothing but great things about it, so I started looking into it myself. I just turned 18, so when I was younger, I never really traveled too much with my family. We went to Puerto Rico every summer because that's where we're originally from, but we never really branched out to any different places. So when I turned 18, I was just so ready to get out there and to start traveling. I got my passport about a month after I turned 18. I applied for it, I paid for it with my own money and everything. I just was ready, set, wanted to go. So when they told me about this travel company that they had gone through, I was still a little bit iffy about traveling. Of course, recently just turning 18, I didn't really know if I wanted to do a trip by myself yet, and there's just a lot of factors that go into it, money. So I started looking into EF College Break, and EF College Break offered a lot of trips. And when I say a lot, I feel like there's a lot of trips on there. They cater to everybody's needs, so you don't have to want to go to Europe to use EF College Break. They also do trips to Thailand, to China, to Japan, to Africa, to Australia. So I had been staring at the website. They told me about it, I want to say in like June, when they had to book their trip, and I was staring at the website for about 4 months, just looking at all their trips, looking at all the pricings, and looking, how can I afford this? How can I manage to do this? How can I get these days off of work? How long do I want my trip to be? Because another thing that they have on their website is they have different durations of trips. Their shortest trip can be about, I want to say 7 days, I think, and then their longest trip is 31, 2 days, which is an entire month. I remember sitting in my car dealership, I was getting my oil changed, and I was looking at my phone again, and I was looking at EF College Break for at least the 100th time, just eyeing their website, oh god, I already knew what trip I wanted to do. And it was a 25-day trip. It was called, oh my goodness, I think it was called the Grand Tour of Europe, or they recently changed the name. It used to be called the Grand Tour of Europe, and now I think it's called Highlights of Europe. But it hit a lot of the major cities in Europe, one of them being Paris. And like I said, you spent the longest time in Paris, so that's why I was staring at it and I just want to do this so bad, I want to do it so bad. So I walked out of the car dealership. I just kind of had this mini argument with myself, oh, I can't do it though. I didn't know if I could just leave out of the blue for the trip was 25 days long, 25 days, just gone, almost an entire month. But then something inside of me just said you want to do this. You know you want to do this. You know you can make it happen. So why not? And I picked up my phone, I called EF College Break, and I booked my trip through the phone. 12 minutes. That's all it took. That inner monologue, calling, making the trip, 12 minutes. And I had booked the trip that I thought would be the trip of a lifetime. Luckily, EF College Break offered monthly payments. There was 2 payment options. You could either put a down payment of a certain amount that escapes my mind, and then pay as you please as long as it's all paid for before the trip was done, or they did monthly payments based on how much your trip was and how many months you had left. You could do it that way. I did the down payment and then paid as I pleased throughout the rest of the duration of the time, just because I found it easier for me to be able to do like 4 large payments instead of doing the monthly payments that they offered. I ended up paying for the trip that way. In another video I might get into a little bit more detail about that whole experience, but I really do want to focus on the trip and how it worked for me. So I paid everything off for the trip. They give you your travel information, I want to say like a month before you leave. They'll give you like the time that you're flying out and where you're flying to. And they'll also create a Facebook page. So they'll make a Facebook page and add you to it, and they'll add all the other travelers so you guys can kind of get to know each other a little bit before you start traveling. I am a big introvert, which is why going on this trip was such a big deal for me, because I'm such an introvert. So when I kind of joined the Facebook page, I kind of wanted to make like a new name for myself. I'm like, oh, let me try to be like a little bit more outgoing and fun. So I added everybody like a freaking weirdo. Well, it probably wasn't that weird, but I felt so uncomfortable about doing it. It was like stepping out of my comfort zone. Like a freaking weirdo, I added everybody in the group. And they all seemed to be really nice. So skipping ahead, I didn't have any trouble with any people in the group. There were some people in the group that I didn't even really talk to. I'm pretty sure if you showed them a picture of me today, they wouldn't be able to name who I was, because I was very quiet and I did kind of sit by myself sometimes. But a lot of the people in the group were super duper nice, and there are people who taught me things that I will still carry with me to this day. And I have memories with some of the people in the group that I will never ever forget and I'll cherish, and I feel like they've made me who I am today. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about stories from the trip, because Travel Tuesdays I can make other videos about stories, because if I listed all my favorite memories from this trip, this video would be 2 hours long. It'd be a really, really long video. So I feel like I'm gonna break up the trip itself into segments, into different countries and what I kind of experienced in that country. Travel tips I can give to you about the cities that I went to. Right now, I'm just kind of talking about EF College Break as a unit and what I experienced with them and how I found their travel service to be. It's very, very well planned, I feel like. They take care of everything except for food. A lot of times the hotels or hostels that you're staying in will offer you breakfast, which is really nice to get free breakfast, because sometimes you can stuff a little bit in your purse for breakfast and save on lunch, because it's not cheap traveling in Europe. Also, you have to pay for the bathroom in random places. But besides the point, they had your flights already booked for you, the flight to go there, flight to go back. They had transportation in between cities already paid for. Well, obviously you paid for it. They do offer you excursions that you could pay for, which are really nice, but sometimes, I will say that sometimes your hostel that you're staying at will offer better excursions than what EF College Break offers you, because there were 2 excursions, or several different excursions, that I booked through the hostel that I was staying at, and they were the best excursions that I did, like way better than the ones that I booked through EF College Break. So I will say that always look up the pricing of excursions by yourself through like websites, personally through the excursion company and not through EF College Break, because sometimes you will A, save money, and B, the excursion will just be better. My absolute favorite thing about EF College Break that I compared to other travel companies is they give you so much free time, like an insane amount of free time, that I think it is very, very helpful if you want to travel by yourself, but at the same time you kind of are not ready to travel by yourself because you're at a really young age. When I booked my trip, I was 18 years old. When I went on my trip, I had just turned 19. So I was the youngest on the tour. Everybody else was like in their 20s or like just older than me. And they had experienced more than me too. A lot of people who were on the trip had already been to Europe. it was kind of funny to see because they had already experienced a lot of these things and it was my first time. I looked like a little kid in a candy store. EF College Break was really good about putting us in a hotel or a hostel that was where transportation was easily accessible. They did an amazing job at accommodating us. Sometimes you would stay in a room with 6 people, which is fine because it's people from your tour. They don't put you with strangers. They're never going to put you with anyone that's not in your tour, which is actually kind of comforting to know that your stuff is nice and locked up. And a lot of times in your hostel, there will be places to lock up your stuff, or you can have locks on your suitcases. Be mindful who you stay with in these rooms with groups of 6 because, like I said, EF College Break is a really free tour, so meaning you can stay out late and party hard and then come back to the room in the lates of the night. So if you are not a partier and you are a light sleeper, be aware if you are staying with partiers and who are deep sleepers. I luckily am a deep sleeper, so I didn't really party as much as a lot of people on the tour did, so I'd be in there sleeping. Occasionally I would get woken up, but not as much as I feel like I would if I was a light sleeper. So one other complaint that I would have to give about EF College Break is I hear they've gotten better with this in recent years, but for my trip, whenever we were doing a lot of traveling, obviously it was 11 cities in 25 days. So the travel in between the cities was mostly done by bus, and sometimes the bus rides would be all-day bus rides. You would be on the bus 14 hours, and in my opinion, I feel like if a bus ride's gonna take all day and take like an entire day away from my traveling experience, it's not really worth it. We should have just taken a train, and myself and a lot of the other travelers in my company complained about that a lot because we did a lot of bus rides and never any trains. And if you really look up, trains aren't that expensive. So if we're already paying this much for the trip, I feel like we should travel by train. Also, when we booked our trip, it said in the travel itinerary that we would be traveling by train through certain places, but we didn't end up doing that. So I was kind of disappointed in that because I feel like at least 3 of my travel days were taken away by travel, where we were just going on the bus the entire day. So that wasn't really fair to me. I feel like it wasn't fair to the other travelers, so that was, I would have to say, would be my biggest complaint with the company. Other than that, I feel like they do a really great job at making you feel like you are safe while you're traveling. Like I said, this is really great for somebody who it's your first travel experience, or somebody who really just wants to be carefree and not worry about a ton of things when they're traveling, like already have everything booked for them just by paying this one solid price. Would I ever do it again? No, because I find myself to be a little bit more of an experienced traveler nowadays, and I like the thrill and the fun of planning things. That's one of my favorite things about traveling, is planning it. Would I recommend it? Yes, I definitely would recommend it for people who are looking to travel. Like, they really have that urge to do it. They just don't know how to get started, and they don't know what to expect from it. They don't know, they want to make sure they're okay and they have someone kind of watching over them while they're traveling, someone to kind of guide them in a way. I would definitely recommend that if you're sitting in that boat, because you really just need something to push you out the door. It was a great experience. I would not trade it for anything in the world. If I could have made my experience any better, it would be me recommending to myself not to be so introverted during the experience. I feel like I should have gone out a little bit more, but I don't regret it one bit. I think it was amazing, and yeah, so I hope this video helped you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this Travel Tuesday. I will see you guys next week for Travel Tuesday, and let me know in the comments what you want me to talk about next week. Do you want me to talk about some of the experiences that I went through during my first trip to Europe? Do you want me to talk about some of my experiences in Mexico, what it is like to travel with a significant other, how that works, what it's like to travel by yourself? Just let me know, and I will talk to you guys later, and I love you guys. Bye. Oh, you look so cute. That's my puppy. Thanks a lot. I hope that boosted your ego. But this time we didn't have anything. Oh my goodness, why is this guy so... We get it, your car's fast. So many trucks at this time. Why?